We're going to take a medium to large square brush, so any kind of size. This is like a 3/4 of an inch brush. If you want to get something like this, the Princeton Real Value Wash Brush at 3/4 of an inch. So you can use something similar. Doesn't matter that much. And then we also have an 8x10 panel canvas. And I'm going to start with like my bright and like pastel colors. And we're going to be moving the brush in a vertical fashion. So what you can do first is take your water, put your brush in the water, and then just practice going up and down in a vertical brush stroke. So you can just use the corner really lightly. So a lot of times like you just barely touch the corner. It's just like a very soft kind of touch, or you can push really hard and use the full width to get a bigger area. What I am planning to do here is to push hard at first and then release pressure as you come into a tapered brush stroke. So it's a little fuller and then it gets more wispy as you go up. And we're gonna add our lighter colors at the bottom and our darker colors at the top. It's gonna be very rainbowy. So I'm gonna start first with the yellow and white mixed together. And on the left here, I'm going to pull up maybe just about halfway. I'm not going too far. I want to pull up some yellow there. I'm going to pull up some yellow on the left. Some can go a little higher. Some can go a little lower. So see, I can take this one up a little higher. This one's a little lower. You know, add a few streaks until you're like, okay, good. Then I'm going to add red to my yellow to make orange. And then I'm going to go ahead and you can layer that on top of the yellow or next to it. So maybe I have some like next to it or some on top, but I'm not covering all the yellow all the way. Just adding to it. So see how we've added some orange in there. And then you're going to clean your brush because we want to move into more of a pink color. We're going to keep this really simple today. So cleaning the brush. I'm drying it off a bit, and then we're going to go into just the yellow, the white and the red to make pink. And you can make it really pastel by using a lot of white. So see how I can pull that in. That's fun. And you can put it wherever you want. Maybe leave some parts where you don't add it. Notice how I can pull it over the yellow and the orange a little bit in some spots. So you can always play with, you know, adding it in different areas. So fun to do it. Now I'm going to clean the brush and then we're going to go into more of a green color. So we've got our red, yellow, and white combination, all the colors you can make from that, which are, you know, you have your yellow, then you mix the red and yellow and you get orange, then you mix the white and red and get pink. So that's pretty much, you know, how far I'm going to take that. Then I'm going to go ahead and get some green shades. So you want to clean and dry your brush, make sure it has all the pink off. So make sure you get it really good. And then I'm going to go into some green colors. So I want to go back into the yellow and white again. And then see how I can re-enhance that in some spots. So maybe you want to pull some more yellow back in. Make it a little stronger. Or just, you know, whatever. And then you can begin to add your blue into your yellow and maybe even add a little bit of white to make it more pastel. And then I can pull that next to some of the yellow and then pull it up a little higher. So see how we're pulling this green in. I'm going to do some on the left. So see I have some here, some over here, maybe add a little more blue. You can always use more white to soften it. But here, see how I'm putting it next to the yellow, because the yellow and the blue make green. So you want to make sure you're not mixing the green into the pink, because then it will get muddy. And then once you have enough green, we can go into some light blue by cleaning our brush. And then I just want to use blue and white. And then I can pull that into the pink area, because if you mix the blue and the pink, it makes purple. But I can also put it next to the green. Let's see how I can pull it down into the pink a little bit. And you can put it next to the green and the yellow. Oops. Again, blue and white. This goes in between. And I'm brushing it mostly up at the top. We're going to add some more dark colors too, but for now it's still pretty light. This is fun to do. It's very rainbowy. And it doesn't matter, you can even color the whole thing in with just the blue and white, and then we can layer on top of it. But there are parts where maybe you just have more blue and less white. So see how that got a little darker right there, because I added more blue and less white. So we do want to start to get some darker areas at the top. And see how I can pull it down into the green to create, it will create like different shades of green, but also makes it darker at the top. So I want to tone down some of the light colors by pulling some of those darker colors down into them. So see how you get purple if you go with pink, blue over the pink. So little things like that. And then just more blue at the top is going to make that darker shade. So dip the brush in the pure blue and go to the top and pull down. And again, not everywhere, it's just you're adding. And then I'm going to clean the brush again. And then I'm going to go my darkest color, which is going to be blue and red, which is going to give me like an ultra dark color at the top. And I don't want it, I want this mainly just at the very top of the canvas. So I'm layering over the blue and making it even darker. So I can take that dark shade, just red and blue, and tap it all along the top, and then just pull it down in some spots. So see, I can pull it down further here. And then here, kind of in between where your colors come up really high is where you can pull it down. And then if you want to make it really dark, you can add black, but let's let the top dry a little bit. We will add a little bit of black, but not yet. But I want to come in and add just a little more light colors through here. And you can always switch to a smaller brush. So if you wanted to use like a square brush, you can use a square brush, or just a smaller square brush, I should say, to add more layers. So maybe I want to get a smaller square brush, and then I can come in and add more of my yellow, pink, any of the light colors that we added. You can always come in and add a little bit more of that like light yellow or the light pink. So I'm just popping in a little more light yellow. Because sometimes when you add the darker colors, you might paint over some of these. So then you want to pull that back in. And it's just fun to layer. And then you can add more, just more white in general. It's going to help soften in between colors. So if you want to do that, you can. So I would just take a minute to touch up what we've done down below. And again, you can have more pink Some more pink down here. Anything that we did initially, you can add. And then maybe you want to even add some like more light blue. You can use more light blue. Really just make sure the colors aren't getting lost. So sometimes when we layer, we lose some of the intention with the colors. So you just layer it back in, layer over, and sometimes doing this while the paint is dry, like the first layer is kind of dry already for me. It's sometimes helpful to come in while it's a little bit dry and then layer over. You can get some more interesting effects. It just ties it together. And then this top part should be getting kind of dry too. So you want to make sure that before you start adding that dark, because we'll add some black to our purple. So get your big brush back when you're ready to do this. But you could also do it with the small brush if that feels fun. And then add some black to it. And then you can go to the top and again, just really make it darker at the top. And then pull down in some spots. So not too much, not too much. Now we're gonna do some splatter paint. I'm just gonna say this is good. You know, like you could always add more, but I'm just gonna let that be. And we wanna have that dark up there. And we're gonna add some splatter paint. So using the medium square brush, you wanna make sure it's kind of wet. Get some white paint and add some water to it. I usually take a little bit of water and mix it in to a little bit of my white to water it down with that square brush. And then you just come in with that watery white, make sure it's all scooped up in the brush. And then you're just gonna pull the bristles back and get some fun splatter paint in the sky. So just keep scooping up more paint if you need to. If it gets too stringy, like it doesn't like splatter well, you might need to add more water to your paint. So just find your consistency that's working to get the effect you want. I'm just adding a lot because I like the effect. It's fun. All right, now we have our splatter in the sky, and then we're gonna add some trees at the bottom. So I'm gonna use the medium square brush, but clean and dry, and then I'm using just the black for this part. What we're gonna do is go to the bottom and we can make like a little wave. So what I'm gonna do is make a little wave that goes up right here on the left. So go make a little mountain and then come down and then go up again like that. Maybe make like a little double mountain on this side. So just make an interesting little wave shape at the bottom and then color it in with black. That way we have a base to build our trees off of that has a little bit more of an interesting shape rather than just painting straight off the flat surface of the bottom. So like instead of just going off the edge, you're coming off this like land that's different shapes. And then I'm going to be using the black on the edge of the brush, making a bunch of vertical lines coming out of that space. So I can go like little vertical line. And then maybe the vertical lines can go up kind of high in some parts. So see how I went kind of high? And then come back low. And then go up high. and then low. So I want to keep it kind of low through this low point right here on the hill, and then it can come up again a little bit higher as we move across the space. So maybe this is like a really tall one that goes about like halfway up. So you see how like a little bit tall, a little bit tall. I have a little bit of tall ones here and there. But we just have lots of little vertical brush strokes. And then from those, choose the ones that are really big. And then what I do is go towards the top of the line, not all the way, but towards the top, and then just tap the corner and make interesting little shapes that kind of curl up. I can kind of curl it up like a smiley face tapping across, but really, really rough. So it's just little tiny taps. And some parts can be fuller, like maybe I want this one to be kind of a full tree. So I'll make it a little thicker through the middle so it's nice and full. And it goes all the way down. And then maybe some of the trees are a little more sparse, like where we have like some broken branches or like little, the branches aren't, the tree is not that full. So it's like the leaves are spread out and you can see the tree trunk a little bit more like that. So it's a little bit more sparse. So do some variety here. Just doing the same thing to all these little trees. Just some are maybe a little thicker and fuller, and some might be more stick-like. Just make your choices. And then just make sure you have, you can always add more trees within there. And you can always take like a small round brush to add some little twigs or just random stuff coming out. So maybe you take like a smaller brush and you can always go in and add some little like random little twigs coming off. Just really messy brush strokes. So I'm just adding some details. And then you can also take maybe like a stick or something to do more, extra manual stars by dipping in the stick or toothpick in the white and then just tapping it in, especially in the dark areas. And you can always use like a bigger stick to get bigger stars. So if you want to change it up, you can also use the back of a brush handle to do this. But sometimes it's fun to go in and add some manual stars because you don't always get what you want with the splatter paint. So then I usually do a combination of splatter paint and manual because then you get that variety. And then you can do some twinkle stars where you take a little dot and then pull up and down from the dot to make a vertical line and then make a horizontal line coming out, like, and then it looks like a T, a lowercase t, and then put a little X through, and then that gives you like a little star burst. You don't have to do that. Some people really don't like doing that, and some people really do like doing that. So I think you just have to do what you like. But I like to show it as an option because it's cool. I think it's a cool little effect you could do for this kind of a sky. Just getting stars in there and stuff. But you don't even have to do, you know, the extra stars. Like maybe you like the way the splattered paint turned out and it's just perfect. So you don't have to mess with it. I like to just do a little bit of messing at the end. Like I'll just be like, oh, I'm gonna add a few more stars and add some little branches or whatever, just to get it a little more added to it. You can even add more colors to the sky if you wanted to. You can do like some things that are fun. You could take like finger paint. You can do yellow on your finger and just sort of spread some in, or pink on your finger and spread it in. So any little fun additional things you might want to do, it's just totally fine. As long as you're having fun with it, I say go for it. That's what art is all about. It's like expression, having fun, doing the things that we like to want to see in our painting, and it's all good. I'm adding some like white right here with some red, make it a little lighter. So any little things that you think might make your painting feel a little better is what you're going to take the last few minutes or so to do. It's different for everybody. So some people might be like, you know what, I don't need to add. I'm done. I've accepted and I like it. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it done. It's a really simple way to add like an Aurora type sky. A little bit of trees at the bottom and some stars if you like. Very simple. You can sit down and do this. It takes 20, 30 minutes max. You don't have to make a big ordeal out of it. No excuses to not get creative, and using just the basic primaries and all that good stuff. So hopefully you have fun. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Definitely leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff to help spread the joy of painting, which is what I love to do. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.